Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a fabulous Wednesday. Welcome to America, the new Trump America, the MAGA America. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. I've only been telling you for the last, 6 years, 7 years. It is here. In the words of our contemporary brother, may Allah be pleased with him, Malcolm X said, this is a case of the chickens coming home to roost. This is not a case of these devilish chickens coming on the roost. It is a case of our own, I want to say, impotence and willingness to do nothing in the face of this, but sit and talk to one another about doing nothing. This show is titled Stop Whining and Do Something. Brothers and sisters, I have to say that for all my contemporaries that I grew up watching, all of their contemporaries, from the slave ship to the battleship, to the slave ship, to the stage, to the largest platforms of advocacy, I have to say that right now here in America, we are at its absolute softest. We are the moistest that America has been in terms of any kind of resistance. Clearly there's a plan, and I'm going to talk about this plan because it's clear to me that when I talk to people about doing something, all we're doing is one, talking, and number two, they're going to take what we spoke and take it to the man and say, I wasn't talking like that, but he sure was. I beg to differ on some of the opinions out there that it was the Democrats, it was the Green Party, it was the Republicans, it was the whites, it was the blacks. It was a congealed effort to make sure that a king was going to be replacing the president, and we all knew it. Brothers and sisters, I don't want you to ever feel that I've lied to you. I don't want you to ever feel that I held anything back from you. That being said, let me be clear that the MAGA and the Republicans and the people that are pushing these agendas have been telling you how they feel for years. I call it seepage. Something seeps out over here and they say, oh, I didn't mean to say that. It seeps out over here and goes, it was taken out of context. When they get to a space, they feel like the marketplace is robust enough to say the most outlandish things, they're going to tell you exactly how they feel. Our problem is we don't tell them exactly how we feel. We're a lost generation of people who've taken for granted the ability to stand up and put truth to power and tell the man to his face, I don't like you. I don't trust you. I don't want you around my kids. I don't want you around my family. I don't want you around my lifestyle. I don't want you around my community. And have that be a starting point for a discussion. Because all this conciliatory talk is out the window. You may argue about we had a black president, but damn it was a weakened black president. And we knew, brothers and sisters, out of that black family, the strongest one was his sister, Michelle Obama. You know why? Because she knew what it was to bow down to these indiscriminate and I want to say ridiculous types of etiquette that don't serve the moment to say, this is who I am, this is who I will be, respect me. See, we're in a generation now. I think I am assassination age appropriate. I am assassination age appropriate. What that mean is, if somebody took me out right now, my obituary is going to be pretty small. It's going to talk mostly about comedy, maybe about the Shout Out Show, maybe about lecturing, maybe it says I was a good guy. But when my janaza comes up, people are going to say nice things. They're going to throw me in the ditch. People are going to throw some dirt on me the way it's supposed to be. But the story and the narrative is going to be that I had no impact. The story and the narrative is going to be that for all these years I was around, seeing everything coming out of 9/11 up to this point, to the second Trump presidency, that I was silent. And the reason that narrative is going to be out there is because the people who would normally tell the narrative have been sitting around hoping I would stop. Much the same as Nelson Mandela, much the same as Malcolm X, much the same as Martin Luther King, that somehow, some way, if Black history is a conclusion, if you will, a conclusion to the fact that Black America is now mainstream and is down with what's going on in America overall. See, when they start trying to erase your history, brothers and sisters. It's like when they talk about these guys that do all this time, they do 34, 40 years in prison, and then they're found innocent. What happens is part of the history was erased out of their trial. Someone took evidence, and it took years, 20, 30 years, for somebody to rediscover what happened 30 years ago. And in that time, these brothers have been broken by the system. They've been beaten by the system. They've suffered incredible injustices. And then you let them out, and that's what they have to do. You say, oh, you're out now. You're free now. But you're not going to talk about what I went through? That's what they want about black folk. They want black people to show up and shut up. Don't talk about where you came from. Don't talk about the hell that you go through. Don't talk about the unfairness. We're not talking about that. Brothers and sisters, no, we want you to be quiet. And when you sit around, these little white kids say, what do these black people do? They just go, they're American, kinda. Don't talk to them. They're American, kinda. And we have to sit here. Oh, the Muslim community is guilty too. Ooh, we are guilty. And I'm going to tell you how we are guilty when we come back. Don't move. This is one of them shows. Sasana, let's go and get this joint started. Preacher Moss Shout Out Show. Okay, this is where it's going to begin. For all you lackeys out there, all you Uncle Toms, all you handkerchief head Negroes who've been out there trying to talk tough, but when it comes down to it and they put the money on the table and they say, black man, buck and dance, or better yet, drop your pants, bend over. Let me let you know how I really feel about you. I want to give you some history that they won't show you anymore. Let me introduce this piece. There was a guy named Malcolm Little who turned out to be Malcolm X, who turned out to be, you know who I'm talking about. And he came from this mystical, magical place called the Nation of Islam. We don't have it anymore. Sultana, we don't have the Nation of Islam anymore. They don't talk about them. It's a long, long picture, brothers and sisters, way back. But this mythical little group called Nation of Islam, who bravely put out the idea of Islam in an American constituency that didn't see black people as whole and definitely not God-fearing and definitely not worthy of mercy from anybody other than the white man. Well, sometimes you got to go back. So, Sadana, we're going to take them back. Let's start.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? And I, for one, as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough. If he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without that old compromise and sweet talk. Stop sweet talking him. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house. It should catch on fire and burn down.
All right. Let's get to it, brothers and sisters. That same energy that Malcolm X had, we don't have. You know who has it? MAGA. They have excelled in telling you how they feel, to the point you lie to yourself going, they ain't mean that. They changed their hearts. I told you, and under the 12 things that Muslims need to do to get through during the Trump administration, one of them is stop thinking that your religion is going to change these devils' behavior. It's devilish behavior. Stop fooling yourself. You need a new constitution, if you will. You know, when I was a kid, my father, may Allah be pleased with him, one time I was run home by these three white boys. And, you know, they tried to jump on me and I ran and I fought where I could, but it was three of them. And I got home and I told my dad. He said, boy, what's wrong with you? I said, Dad, these three white boys tried to jump on me. He said, what? He said, say it again. I said, these three white boys tried to jump on you. You know, my daddy said, it was only three. That all there is? You know, my father told me, he said, are the three of them going to be together all the time? I said, sir. He said, they don't all hang out. He said, they came together to jump on you. He said, what happens when they don't try to jump on you? He said, out there. And what happened was, like the educated criminal I was when I was young, I caught each young little white boy on their own. And that was more than a fair fight for me. Thus, I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating intelligence. Think about it. So, Tom, let's get to our people in the shout out room, please. Shout out family real quick. Walaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh, brother. All tough. How you doing, man? Appreciate you. Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Always on the show and the platform. One of our day ones coming from Toronto. Official envoy to the show. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Much love. Next up, my little brother, Walaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. What's going on, Johnny Lee Thomas? Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're healing. You know, I make the dua for you every day. MashaAllah. Good to talk to you always on our Sunday conversations. Next up, Sister Reed. Sister Reed, hope that you're doing well. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh to you, Brother Derek, Brother Jawan. I hope that you're doing well and your health is in a wonderful place. You know, I miss you. Next up, Sister Aika, all the way from Melbourne, Australia. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. Shout out to Down Under. Hope you're doing well. Next up, okay, Permissible Laughter. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. This is the tag from our illustrious executive producer, Sister Satana Whitfield, without which I would have to use all these fingers, brothers and sisters. She makes this thing go. We appreciate you. Got some folks out Instagram land, maybe. Let me see. Oh, we got some folks here. Father the Dust and Tyler Kareem Esquire. What's going on, beloved brother Tyler? I want to say legal mind extraordinaire. Thank you for having me on your show. Psych in Progress. What's going on? Sister Shabana out of Chicago area. Much love to you. Much love to everybody, man. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Bilal, big brother Bilal, and of course his queen sister Sonia Dothan. Salahuddin, we appreciate you, big brother. Assalamu alaikum. Let me see. MFM 2018. I thought you was a comedian. I'm a comedian, brother. I'm not a clown. Get it straight now. All right. Now, a preacher, come on now, give it a break, brother. I don't know who you're thinking. Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah barakatuh. Thank you, MFM 2018. You want to see a show? Pay a ticket, beloved. My man Samir out of Kansas City. Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah barakatuh. Is this live? I don't know. You tell me, brother. Leather Flower Designs, appreciate you. Thank you so much coming from New Jersey. Salam. Let me tell y'all something, folks. Y'all have been spoiled and misled in something. I want to take the time to address MFM 2018 on Instagram. So, brother, you may not realize this, but I'm 58 years old. And I'm 58 years old, and I look around and say, how has the world changed? Not just for the betterment of blacks and Muslims. I'm talking about everybody. Okay, comedy is a tool, it's a language. I use it the way God or Allah has blessed me to do it. So when I'm on my platform, I am on my platform. Some of this stuff may not be funny to you because the hypocrisy is so thick, you can't get to the laughter. I can make it funny, but right now I just got to make it real. So I hope that you respect that. Thank you so much for your comments. The thing about the clip that I showed you with Malcolm X is interesting because if you're short-sighted, you may think that this is a very myopic view in terms of the treatment of African Americans. It is not. It is not. It's a pretext for how people have been treated in the past, at his time, at his present time, how they were treated, and it gives you a vision of how the people are treated moving forward. So it's clear to think that, and it's easy to think that one group of people represent all the misery in the United States, whether it's African Americans or indigenous folks, indigenous Americans. It's easy to think that everybody is encapsulated, and that's the trick. That's the trick. And because of that, we've created a culture, if you will, where people are quick to react. They're constantly quick to react. Everybody's on edge. Something happens with Trump, and we don't think. And because we're so reactionary, we don't talk. The same thing can be said about Obama. Obama did some things, and we were so quick to react that we didn't have, I want to say, a solution. We had reactions, we didn't have solutions. We didn't have the ability to build consistency to say that these things are wrong. Whether Trump is in office, whether Biden's in office, whether Barack Obama's in office, whether Bush's office, I can't sit here and tell you that everything they say is wrong, everything they say is evil. Can't tell you that. But for the things that stick out, you have to be willing to step up and say what it is. Clearly. And at this point, even in the comedy game, comedians are afraid to say certain things because they are in fear of reprisals. They are fearful that somehow the Hollywood game will take their livelihoods away from them. And all of a sudden, you're doing 2,000 seat, 3,000 seats arenas. Now you're in the drive-through trying to do orders or hand out orders at In-N-Out somewhere in California. Am I saying it can happen? Of course it can happen. But this is the reality of it. And if we're not willing to talk about it, then nobody's going to talk about it. Then the silence is going to kill you. The silence is going to kill you. It's going to kill me. During the election, one of the things that was difficult to watch is the inability of people to really communicate with one another. And that space comes from the fact when you're not able to really talk about what you have done. When you're not really able to talk about concrete action, things you have executed. When we're talking these highfalutin theories and hypotheses, understanding that out that door is the street. Out that door is the street. It's the reality. You can't talk about weather in your house. You may know it's hot outside. You may know it's cold outside. You may go through the whole thing about rain. But until you walk out of your house and experience what it is, you just talking. We're just talking. The whole exercise, if you will, is like do something. This brother, I don't know if he's gone, he put this brother asked me, he said, I thought you were a comedian. No, but I'm a hell of a comedian and I'm a hell of a teacher. Don't ever get it twisted. What you may I understand is this is what comedy looks like when it's connected to its community. This is what comedy looks like when you walk down the street and you see somebody hungry and it bothers you. This is what comedy looks like when you see kids who can't read at their grade level. Okay? I don't know what kind of job you have. I don't know what kind of reach you have, what kind of intentions you have for society, the good things you do, good things you don't do. I'm going to put it out there that I think you may do some good things, but here's the point I think you got to know. This is what comedy looks like when it cares. So D Woods, man, I would love to come out to Sacramento. I love Sacramento. I actually did a lot of shows out there early on with George Lopez. I think they still have. I'm thinking about bringing the show to the Sacramento Punchline, depending on how it goes in Houston, man. But definitely, I'm ready to go. Satana, get D Woods information. I'll figure it out. My sister Satana will take care of you, man. We'd love to come out. I definitely love Sacktown, just so we know. My brother Eric Carter, Wild Lake Maslano, Patula Picada, all the way from South Kakalaki. Let me give you guys something. I was reading this book called 12 Rules for Life. The guy's name is hold on a minute. I'm going to get it. I know I should have his name. Forgive me. 12 Rules for Life, an antidote to chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. Okay. He has this thing called, the first chapter, I think, sit up straight with your back straight, whatever it is. It's a genius thing because he likens human behavior to that of lobsters. Those funny crustaceans that you love to eat and put butter on. Well, you might not want to put butter on after you hear what I'm about to say. He talked about lobsters being at the bottom of the ocean and how they have to mark territory to be able to get food and sustain themselves. He said, but every once in a while, two lobsters will come together and they both want that territory. They both want that area to sustain themselves. And they go through certain levels of what they're willing to do. They secrete something out of their eyes that let them know how big a lobster is, how old a lobster is, physical shape. And sometimes out of those secretions, they get that information. They think, hey, I might not want that smoke with this lobster. Let me go find someplace else. But then there's lobsters who secrete that information. They say, hey, I ain't going anywhere. And what happens is they go through certain levels of aggression. Sometimes they flare their claws, and if they don't run along, it goes to something else. Then it goes to physical activity where one lobster will try and flip the other lobster on its tail, on its back, and it embarrasses them, and then they take the defeat. But the third one is interesting. The third one I want you to take notice of, because the third option of the lobsters is when they really get down, which means they take the claws and they take the eye stems and they pull and da-da-da, and whoever is damaged is the one that goes away. The one that wins continues to strut their stuff. Let's talk about that damaged lobster. They said that damaged lobster not only goes to that, but the damaged lobster his brain has to reprocess. It has to have almost a new brain. And that new brain, brothers and sisters, is a defeated brain. It's a defeated brain. It doesn't have initiative. It doesn't have confidence. It is defeated to the point that, that big, strong lobster, that one will taunt that lobster and make sure, I want you to know that I beat you down. I want everybody to know that I beat you down. make the walk for that defeated lobster, I guess. Because that defeated lobster is a lot of people here in the United States. You feel like you lost. You feel like you don't have hope. And as a result, the powers that be will continue to tell you you don't have hope unless you understand that hope comes through them. That defeated lobster whose brain processes differently, doesn't see hope, doesn't see a winning attitude. It's an unhealthy lobster. It busies itself with the lower things, and understand, brothers and sisters, that the people up top want to make sure you understand that when you're on the bottom, you're going to lack access. You're going to lack opportunity. You're not going to be worthy of justice or freedom or equality. Sound familiar? That lobster in the United States was the black man. That lobster in the United States was Native Americans. But something happened to some of those lobsters. Some of those lobsters, that brain reformulated and it gave them even more initiative because they understood that it was freedom or death. I'm not fighting the lobster anymore. I'm fighting my own inhibitions. And fighting their own inhibitions, they found strength. You're talking about Malcolm X in the late 50s, 60s, talking that way. The premise of that is two Nation of Islam brothers were unloading clothes out of the back of a car. Policemen came up, assaulted them. One of them was shot and he was paralyzed. The other one was murdered. This brother Ronald Stokes, alhamdulillah, may Allah be pleased with him, he just recently returned to Allah. What I want to say about Ronald Stokes is what everybody in the Bay said about Ronald Stokes, what everybody in LA said about Ronald Stokes. Though he was paralyzed, he was strong. He didn't take a situation as a means to limp away, to move away from the environment. He was the lobster that said, even if physically you've beat me, even if mentally, financially, spiritually, you may have beat me, you didn't defeat me. And in that space, brothers and sisters, there's a new hope. There's a new hope. There's a new understanding. There's a new brand of courage that all of us need to be in for. When you walk down the street, don't look down at the curve. Look the people who look down on you directly in the eye. Now, some of you think, oh, we talking about black people? No. Black people are going to look at dead in the eye because that's what we do. I'm talking about other folks who believe somehow, some way, I have a right to look down. You're not looking down at me, brother and sister. I'm looking forward. You look down, I'm looking forward. Which one is the more valuable of insights? I don't have that. That's a rhetorical question. But it needs to be said, brothers and sisters, that there's a hierarchy that's been implemented here in the United States. And that hierarchy is difficult because it's because people have aspirations. Someone asked me about Snoop Dogg performing at Donald Trump's inauguration. And they said, how could he do that, Preach? How could he do that? And I said, it's easy. They said, when they look at his success, they know that he aspires to be part of that. Rich people want to be with rich people. Rich people don't want to be with poor people. Hell, poor people don't want to be with poor people. And to turn that situation down, I'm not saying he's right. I'll tell you, I don't agree. Everybody has their own opinion. But to turn it down is what? To turn it down is a situation scenario where people go, I may never, ever, ever get this chance again. To be in the hierarchy with these people, to be in the house with these people, even if they don't like me, I'm in the house. It's a very selfish view. I'll leave it at that. But as we wrap up, brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell everybody, Sister ShOUT, love you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Give my salams to your husband. I saw your pictures when you went over to Hajj. You're looking good, sister. I appreciate you. I'm just going to tell everybody what they already know. And the best way I could do it is I ain't even going to tell you. If you know, you know. We got some people still stuck on here. Who is MFM? Whatever. You know, brother, grow up, man. And I do mean that seriously. Hey, man, I don't know if your mom hugged you enough or she pushed you against the radiator. That's your business. Listen, this is Shout Out Show. Y'all been awesome. I got to go. Listen, stop whining and do something. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care.